Whatever happened to Meghan Sussex? Because in March earlier this year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Meghan Markle made a pretty big fuss about going by Meghan Sussex. She sort of did it twice on her show with Meghan, where she had a bit of a temper tantrum when Mindy Kaling called her Meghan Markle, and then on the Drew Barrymore show. But since then, crickets. Crickets. We have not heard a word of anything about Meghan Sussex. So, what exactly happened, in my personal opinion, and why did Meghan's attempt at rebrand go so wrong? And should she have given it a little bit more thought? We are going to get into all of this today. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany. I do provide compelling royal commentary. So please hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely love to have you back. So this is an interesting one because when I remember Meghan all of a sudden was going like, I'm Meghan Sussex, I remember thinking, no, because number one, there's a mistaken feeling out there, at least among some, that royals, their legal last name is Mountbatten Windsor. That is true for blood royals, but my understanding has always been that if you are a married-in member of the royal family, you actually keep your maiden name. And the reason for that is only blood princes or princesses can have the legal name Mountbatten Windsor. And this sort of makes sense if you think about it, because royals are all about kind of cementing and protecting the dynasty. We even had the interesting case in Sweden where Princess Madeline, her children, I believe their last name is Bernadotte or Bernadotte O'Neill. Her last name goes first because her last name is more important than that of her husband's, at least within the royal sphere. And her children do have royal titles. And so Mountbatten Windsor doesn't work, but we do have a bit of a precedence for using, let's say, the last name of the duchy somebody has. Now, again, I feel like legally, Meghan should still be Meghan Markle, but in the States, she could, of course, technically change her name to anything, as we saw with Friends, and go by Meghan Sussex. And I have always argued that that would have been sort of the bright idea to go with in the first place. For Harry and Meghan, for their whole rebranding, restart, whatever, they should have just dropped sort of the pretense of royalty. Because yes, they are royals. Yes, they are connected to royals. But at the same time, they are trying to create their own businesses. And for their businesses to, I think, stand on their own merits without utilizing the royal titles, it just needs to be something simple as, hey, I'm Harry Sussex. I'm Meghan Sussex. But from the jump, they seemed very, very attached to the idea of people calling them the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Now, those are their titles, but they were sort of told not to use them in a commercial context. And at the same time, it's sort of a, let's say, an honorable thing to do. You no longer work for the institution. You're no longer really attached to the institution. Just go by Harry and Meghan Sussex and just be done with it. But no, Harry and Meghan have made a big, big fuss about being the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. In fact, we found out via Meghan's interview with Jamie Kern-Lima that Meghan sends notes and things around to her friends, calling herself Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Imagine how obnoxious that is. Your alleged friend can only refer to herself as her HRH the Duchess of Sussex when she technically really only held the title or was really attached to the monarchy for like a year and a half, for Pete's sakes. 2 years, maybe, if you count their engagement. And yet she still constantly bombards you with the title. And so to have a fresh start, I really think the couple should have always just gone with Harry and Meghan Sussex. But that's not what they decided to do. And they have had 5 years or so where, again, their titles are something they cling to desperately. But in the lead up to Meghan's show, and as she relaunched on Instagram and everything, all of a sudden, for at least a week, it was, I'm Meghan Sussex. Oh, so watch a little bit of her interaction with Mindy Kaling here.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now. You have kids, and you go, no, I share my name with my children.
Yes.
And that feels so, I didn't know how meaningful it would be to me, but it just means so much to go, this is our family name.
Now, of course, I characterize this whole thing as a little bit of a Duchess Diva temper tantrum. She did not like the fact that Mindy Kaling referred to her as Meghan Markle. She doesn't like that at all, even though that is her name. And she shouldn't have really any issues with that name because that's what most people know her as. I know there's a lot of people online who constantly go, don't use Kate Middleton. It's Princess Catherine or Catherine the Princess of Wales. Now, while technically Catherine's name is Catherine the Princess of Wales now, I feel like the hysteria over Kate Middleton being used is a little bit ridiculous. And the reason is that most people who aren't in this space still call her Kate Middleton, guys. They just do. Ain't gonna stop. They're still probably gonna do that even when she's queen. And British titles are complicated. So what I mean by that is Meghan didn't become Princess Meghan. She technically became Princess Harry because here's the other aspect of royal titles is that the women who marry into the family do not hold the titles in and of themselves. They are a courtesy of their husband. So this is also why when it comes to royal titles, it makes sense that the women still retain their maiden name. So Catherine, when her and William sued a French photographer back in 2012, on the application, she was listed, or the legal lawsuit, she was listed as Kate Middleton or Catherine Middleton. And the reason is because, again, she's not a blood royal. And because that the women don't hold it in their own right, it's sort of complicated because they don't become just simply a prince or princess of something, aren't just duchess something. It's like technically Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, Catherine, the Princess of Wales. She's not Princess Catherine. She's not Princess Kate. She is Catherine, the Princess of Wales, because she doesn't hold the title of princess in her own right. Whereas if you married into the Swedish monarchy, you could say if you married Prince Carl Philip, you became Princess Sophia in that instance. And so it's a little bit easier in other royal families because sometimes the titles are very simple, just crown prince or princess something. And that's really easy to remember. The British stuff is complicated. But Meghan all of a sudden deciding, no, I want to be Meghan Sussex. It's like, why? You didn't want to be so before. And why are you all of a sudden switching now? Because it just wasn't clear. What is the aim? What is the goal here? Because you can, let's say, decide to rebrand, but it really needs to be something that's thought through. Because what I've noticed about this whole year when it comes to Meghan is that this has just been a crapshoot. It's just been an absolute catastrophic, utterly terrible crapshoot by Meghan Markle when it comes to her marketing, her branding, and everything. It's all over the place. And Meghan Sussex is a symptom of that. If you want to go by Meghan Sussex, everything should be Meghan Sussex. No more Duchess of Sussex, just Meghan Sussex. Because it looked weird when on her Instagram, on As Ever, everything. Does it say it on here? Just says Meghan on here, but it always was Meghan, comma, Duchess of Sussex. Why, if you're really wanting to go by Meghan Sussex, you didn't just put everything under the name Meghan Sussex? This is how you rebrand, is that you put a whole encompassing, holistic aspect on what you're looking for in the future. And Meghan didn't do that. It was just a weird throwaway thing. So let's listen to how Meghan is introduced during the Drew Barrymore show.
This is the Fast Five with Meghan Sussex.
So again, we get Meghan Sussex. And it's like, okie dokie. And then that's the last and final time she's ever referred to that way. Yeah, it just went away. She didn't commit to it. And this is part of the huge problem, the massive, glaring problem that Meghan has publicly, which is that she doesn't know who she is. And she's constantly trying to find something people like. So she's constantly throwing things against the wall to see what sticks, rather than saying, I'm going to do this. Screw the naysayers. This is what I'm going to do. And if Meghan had done that when it comes to her title, I think she would have been fine. And it should have been something to start in the beginning of the year, because the beginning of the year was this whole rebrand renaissance attempt of Meghan Markle. And she should have, I mean, although I do actually think about it now, I think she should have always just gone by Meghan Markle because that's what people knew her as. So even Meghan Sussex was a little bit of a misnomer. But anyways, she should have just embraced this new identity, rebranded everything, not relied so much on her royal title, and just stuck to things that way. But no, she made a big splash on network television about all of a sudden being Meghan Sussex. And then the next day, never again. Never again. She's all of a sudden the Duchess of Sussex again. It feels like whiplash. It feels like she's sort of almost lying to people because she wants to go by one thing and then goes by another, and it's just like all over the place. But like I said, this has been a long-term problem for Meghan, and one that she seems incapable of addressing. Because the thing for Meghan is people know her as Meghan Markle just like they know Catherine as Kate Middleton. She should have leaned into that more. But the obsession with the title reflects how incredibly fearful Meghan is in so many ways. Meghan, yes, she talks a good game, but I think Meghan is somewhat aware of how inept she is. And the thing that floats her, the thing that makes her money, is not her individual talent. It's that royal title. And so she has to desperately, desperately cling to it because she's too petrified to try to make it without that title. Because you can make it without that title. Nothing in the world says you have to be Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, all the time to be successful. You should just go by Meghan Sussex or simply Meghan Markle and try to be successful that way. Try to let your talent shine rather than the title. Because unfortunately for Meghan, this title has been very much tarnished. Because the big problem with Meghan and why I think it would have been a good idea to rebrand, she had thought it through. Because the problem Meghan Markle has, and the problem the Duchess of Sussex has, is that they went on national TV multiple times in a Netflix series, podcast, interviews, Harry's book, and everything, trashing his family. So the Duchess of Sussex moniker is not something that people look on fondly. I think people are hoping that the title is crushed and burned as soon as Harry and Meghan pass away, basically. Then it's kind of like the Duke and Duchess of Windsor title. Nobody will want to touch it again because it's such bad juju at this point. And they're not necessarily wrong. Harry and Meghan have made every possible misstep they possibly could ever in their attempt to, let's say, won over his family. And it hasn't worked out particularly well for them. Yes, they've made money, but at the expense of their reputation. That is why Harry did his whole pseudo royal tour of the UK all of a sudden. It's like he's trying to recapture that royal magic that he willfully threw away. He threw away his role within the monarchy for 10 seconds of fame and millions of dollars. I mean, I call it blood money pretty much because that's what it is. That's pretty much how they made their money is blood money, in my opinion. And that's obviously not really what the real definition is, but I feel like it's close enough that when you try to destroy your family, that's how you're making your money. Well, it taints you. It taints everything you do. Everything you do because of those two names actually damages you further. Because the unfortunate thing for Harry and Meghan is everything is looked at to the nth degree in everything they do. And the results are not positive. The results are rather negative. There's like sort of a negative reaction and undercurrent to literally everything they do. And they can't totally escape that. And that's sort of just the reality of the situation is that they can't escape it, but they should be able to if they had been smart. But they're not smart. There were ways for them to address these issues without looking, in my opinion, catastrophically kind of dumb. And this is how we got there. So Meghan, if I was suggesting to her, if I was, let's say, advising her for 2025, and she wanted to do this big rebrand, because again, you want to leave the past in the past, and you constantly think they just want to go, just ignore what we did a couple of years ago. It's fine. And that's not really how they should address this. So number one, she will never, I don't think Meghan will ever fully recover her reputation. Neither will Harry unless they apologize to his family publicly. I don't think they'll ever fully recover. So this is what she should have done in the new year. Is that instead of launching as Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, she should have just said, in her writing on the beach, she should have just said Meghan Sussex and stuck to it. She almost should too have like changed up her hair, maybe changed up her style or something, like cut her hair short, change up her style a little bit, use different colors to really sort of rebrand herself. Make herself look different enough where you don't totally connect her with the woman sitting on the couch talking to Oprah and telling the world that her husband's family was allegedly racist. Instead, what she should have done is just completely reformat her style and everything so that when she relaunches, we can maybe think, oh, this is a new changed Meghan. And the name helps with that. It honestly does. Relaunch in the sand as Meghan Sussex, stick to it, insist that, let's say, you're not feeling the airs of royalty, that you don't really care. Unlike what she did basically with Bloomberg, which is reiterate, I'm the Duchess of Sussex. You should call me as such. So Meghan again is doubling down after trying to get away from it. You just need to embrace it, honey. Like, that's how this actually works. That's how maybe, just maybe, the catastrophically stupid decisions you and your husband have made over the past 5 years might be seen in a different light or might be forgettable. Now, not to everyone, but we're talking about the lay person who doesn't really pay that much attention. If she has really seems to be doing something much different, I think people would kind of recognize and go, oh, this is a different Meghan. Okay. And they would get on board. Honestly, I think a lot of people would. Now, some people wouldn't like that, but that's sort of, the game. But instead, she called herself the Duchess of Sussex, kind of was playing the same ridiculous games. All of a sudden, we're Meghan Sussex for like a week, and then we're back to the Duchess of Sussex. And then she's on Bloomberg explaining again that I'm the Duchess of Sussex and going, oh, it's so confusing for Americans because, we're so dumb. But she's the one who's confused. She's deliberately confusing you. And if you're trying to rebrand, why would you do that? That's an incredibly stupid thing to do. You don't want to confuse people because part of Meghan Markle's problem is that people think she lies. And when you kind of double down and are trying out a different persona every week, it's just not going to go particularly well for you. You need to stick to something. I don't care what it is. I don't think anybody really cares what it is. Stick to it, embrace it, and stop trying to change things or stop trying to act like the past doesn't exist, because it does. Meghan should have just gone by Meghan Sussex and be done with it. Don't worry about the naysayers. Don't worry about people like me, because the thing about Meghan is I feel like she's constantly thinking about everybody's reaction to everything she does. So I did a video, and I was probably somewhat maybe inaccurate on some things, raging against all of a sudden her calling herself Meghan Sussex. And then all of a sudden she drops doing Meghan Sussex. Well, just embrace it and be clear, because I feel like she's not being clear, because she's saying legally she's the Duchess of Sussex, but I'm pretty sure you can't have a royal title on an American document technically because you're not really royal here. So I don't think she can be Meghan Duchess of Sussex on her driver's license. I think she's Meghan Sussex on her driver's license. She should just say on my driver's license it says Meghan Sussex or something like that. She's deliberately being obtuse, and she's deliberately kind of dancing around the questions all the time. And I feel like that annoys people. And then you have the whiplash of changing the name all of a sudden. And then you add that into the fact that this year she's had multiple names used for herself and her branding. So we have Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Sussex. We have, as ever, American Riviera Orchard with Love Meghan, Confessions of a Female Founder. So that's 7 at least identities this year. None of them really flow together. None of them really work. And that is a Meghan problem. She just needs to figure out who she wants to be when she grows up, because she unfortunately doesn't know that. And I feel like she's constantly trying to make us happy, us the public, happy with whatever she's doing. But the thing is, sometimes the most successful people don't care about what other people think. Do you think Gwyneth Paltrow really cares what we think about Goop? No, because it's successful and she doesn't care. She's like, I'm going to do my thing. You can think it's ridiculous. You can think it's amazing. I don't care. I'm going to do it. And if I find an audience, great. If I don't, I'll change. But she found an audience. I feel like Meghan is constantly trying to search for her audience that doesn't exist. And some of the people who are following her merely follow her because of her racial identity and nothing else. And that is not a strong foundation. It's not a strong foundation at all. She's still sitting at 4.2 million Instagram followers. If you think about that, how well she is known, that's the best she can do, reflects in a severely damaged brand. And Meghan had a chance, a self-imposed chance to change things up. Go my Meghan Sussex. Make that your Instagram handle. Like, really embrace it. But no. Meghan can't do that. She is her own worst enemy. She torpedoes herself every single time. She snatches victory out of the jaws of defeat. She cannot help herself. She's constantly trying to please everyone. And as always, as ever, pleasing absolutely no one and leaving people confused and even more detached from her and her brand in the process. But guys, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. I will speak to you again very soon. Bye.